Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Fringe Coverage. This podcast profiles the stories, swings, and stars of the LPGA Tour. And whether you're new to women's golf or a longtime fan, hopefully this podcast helps you develop your own rooting interest in women's professional golf. And we are back for another episode. We're coming off of the event down in Mayakoba in Mexico. I got my amigo Tom with me. Tom, what's going on, man?
Mark, I've prepared a statement to deliver to our loyal fans.
A state? Oh, okay. The floor is yours.
To our dear followers and Fringe fanatics, it was brought to my attention after we finished recording our preview episode for the Mexico Riviera Maya Open that my pick to win the tournament, Rio Takeda, was not in fact participating in said tournament. An unnamed party gave me the option to have a social media post edited in order to save face. However, I declined as I felt it would be disingenuous to our committed fans. I take full responsibility for my erroneous selection. Perhaps I was still reveling in the celebratory champagne from Tom's Titan, Nelly Korda, winning the first major of the 2026 season, or perhaps I was duped by a flippant Google AI search when attempting to locate the players in the field for the upcoming weekend. But I'm not here to make excuses. Sure, the AI slop being dumped online is a scourge to our society, and nothing online can or should be trusted, but a good golfer doesn't blame their caddy, and a good podcaster doesn't blame the internet. I owe it to our listeners, my podcasting partner, and more importantly, myself to do a better job moving forward. I have taken the appropriate steps to improve my performance in the future, and all I can ask is for your forgiveness and grace. I am humbly requesting to invoke the procedural defense of double jeopardy, which prohibits any person from being punished multiple times for the same crime. So I'm kindly asking my podcasting partner Mark to never mention this offense again, but ultimately it will be his decision to rebuke or acquiesce. Thank you sincerely for your time and consideration.
Wow. So big of you. So big of you, Tom. There's a lot to react to there. So
I will be taking questions at this time.
Okay. First off, hopefully that's the first and last time anything is read scripted on this show. Leave it to our podcast to usually try to go off the cuff. I'm really sad you couldn't memorize that and have us to do it from the heart, but you know, we'll get there, Tom. I think the last time I read something scripted was my opening episode when I read the intro for the first time, and I couldn't remember it, but we'll get past that. Let's get to the meat of this. Yeah, it was a tough look, not going to lie. You can bet your butt I am definitely going to bring this up again. So back to your double jeopardy comment, like I will use this from time to time. I will make some backhanded remarks when it comes to the pick section this week about, hey, you may want to make sure they're in the field. You deserve that. I think we can both say. I do think there's a question about punishment here. And whether it's within just our regular pick game. Let's start there. We have a pretty simple point structure that we've been following for our picks. Again, outside of Tom's Titans dominating the season-long draft game, our week-to-week picks, we really just say, all right, top 5s and 10s, you get some points, and you'll get 1 point for a head-to-head win over the other person's pick. So in other words, if your pick doesn't win and your pick isn't in the top 10, you're getting 0 points. I have an issue with you just getting 0 points this week when you picked someone not in the field. We do not currently have a negative point structure set up for this game, so let's call that out the outset that we're real-time. I'm suggesting a real-time edit to this. I'm open to suggestion here, but I am curious what your reaction to the, obviously you don't want to be punished, but you know you need to be punished. Do you think there is a point punishment necessary for this?
So a few things. You know, when you watch a movie and, you know, something bad happens, like, you know, somebody opens up the Jumanji box and everything goes to hell or whatever, or
yeah.
Harold and Kumar, you know, they fall off the, you know, the road and they tumble down. Like, there's a very clear thing in movies where, you know, one person can say, like, I can't believe you did that. And then they go, cool, well, we're going to get through it together, right? And there's no more bringing it up constantly. Like, if you hadn't done this, we wouldn't be in this situation. Well, we are in this situation, Mark.
Yes, you are in this situation.
We are going to deal with it together as a team. So I don't want to hear about it every week. Going back to your question about the weekly matchups, I think a -1 would be probably fair. Right now, if somebody misses the cut, like, for example, when Se-Young Kim missed the cut for you, or when Minji Lee missed the cut for you, you just got 0 points for that. I am willing to take a -1 this week for our matchup.
Man, you're doing a really good job of trying to deflect, but the good news is I have a mic as well. So I think that is a reasonable suggestion. I'd also like to throw out another non-point punishment. And again, I'm workshopping this, but maybe I get to pick your pick for you one week. Or like you forfeited your own pick. Maybe there's a week that with some criteria, I'm not choosing the 450th ranked player in the world. Maybe I choose a week where I give you Rio Takeda, your incorrect pick. So again, we'll
like a reverse
decide.
Uno card. Like
right.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. Remember this? But maybe back to your point of what maybe I won't remind you about it all the time.
A Rio rebuttal. I like that.
At the least expected moment, I come back with my Rio reversal. We'll decide on this offline. We will report back to the folks, but I think we are on the road to recovery. Tom, I appreciate your proactiveness in addressing this head on our featured platform. And yes, I am probably going to snip this and put this on social media as well, so people know that. So accountability is real, and the larger people know that Fringe Coverage is an above-board, self-respecting set of individuals and podcasts. So, Tom, thank you. I appreciate you. And you know what? I think Rio should be really excited that she has such a big fan that you'll pick her even on the week she's not playing.
100%. All I can do is apologize.
Well, that no better way to get started than that. Today, Tom and I are going to recap the Mexico Riviera Maya Open played down in Mayakoba. We're going to preview the Mizuho Americas Open in New Jersey. We're going to talk a little bit about on the heels of the Chevron and the Champions Dinner that Mau Saigo featured. Tom and I are going to talk about what our featured menus would be if we had this opportunity. Let's get into the tournament down in Mayakoba. So if you haven't heard yet, Nelly Korda wins again, and we're going to run out of superlatives to describe what Nelly's doing. Before we get into her win, I think the thing that stands out to me is that Nelly played this golf tournament. As a reminder, it was just a couple weeks ago that Nelly won the Chevron. The tournament down in Mexico, if you go down the leaderboard, Tom, it was not a stacked field. This is a week a lot of women took off following a major. Nelly had a pre-existing commitment to play in this tournament, and I think would have been well within her means and rights to say, hey guys, I'm coming off a giant week where I won, and then I'm sure the media moments that follow that, and I know you've heard of a couple media moments popping up even as early as or recent as today. I think a lot of people expected her to bow out, and she didn't. I already give her credit just for playing that tournament, because imagine what that means to the crowd down at Mayakoba in Mexico to be able to see the number one player in the world just coming off a major win come play their tournament. And then she cleans up and she dominates the tournament yet again. She ended up winning by 4, and it could have been more than that. She actually sunk a long, 20-foot bogey putt on 18 after losing the ball into the wilderness. Again, it was not a deep field by ranking. If you looked at the top 10, I'm sure, Tom, there's probably even some names you're not very familiar with on that leaderboard. But huge props to Nelly for playing. Huge props for her for bringing her A game and shooting 17 under and winning again. And just to put a finer point on this, for those of you not remembering, Nelly has played 6 tournaments this year. She has won 3 of them and has a second place in 3 of them. Only 2 women have beat her this entire season, Lauren Coughlin and Hyoju Kim. She's having a ridiculous season reminiscent of 2024 when she won 7 times, including 5 straight and a major. Nelly's playing some pretty amazing golf, and props to her for going down to Mexico and showing it off there. What else you got there, Tom?
Yeah, I think after day 1, I texted you and I said, I don't recognize the top 5 except Nelly. Right. Aside from Melanie Green, I was happy to see Fringe Coverage alum Melanie Green doing well. You gave me a little backstory on Brianna Doe. Hand up, I didn't know who that was. So thank you
for
that.
Good reason, right? Brianna Doe is a journeywoman. She's been on tour for a really long time, but has no career wins. Not a lot of top 10s, if I remember correctly. I was going to check that. Did not have a chance to before the episode, but just kind of a name that maybe will pop up on a Friday leaderboard, but really hasn't done much in terms of the top tier. But it seems like a lot of those people are on this leaderboard this week.
Yeah, and I know that you were having a little, you were griping a little bit about, you thought maybe the course might be a little too easy for somebody like Nelly, and that perhaps
Day
maybe
one, yeah.
are you. So I kind of wanted to follow up with you on that. Are you saying that you think that eventually they're going to start having to fix courses so it's not so easy for somebody like Nelly?
Yeah, the comp here is in the early 2000s when they started Tiger proofing the PGA courses. So I mean, Tiger came out and obviously had generational length and just played the game differently, and honestly put equipment out to pasture the way he was playing. And along with equipment changes, again, Tiger was the first to use a certain type of ball and was hitting balls well over 310, 320 yards at a time where most guys were still hitting at 270. And when you're out driving people by 50 yards, people take note, and golf courses take note. And I mean, you and I think, agree in an ideal world, a par five isn't a guaranteed reachable, or certainly something that you're going to have to pull out a long iron or even a wood to get there. Nelly's hitting 8 irons into these par five greens, and I think, look, Nelly is not the longest hitter. Let me be clear. There are people that hit it longer. There are not many people that hit it longer and straighter than Nelly with the consistency in which she does it. And again, we talked last episode. She's leading every statistical category on tour right now. And my fear is that, I don't even know if it's a fear. I think there's a very realistic possibility that the LPGA is going to look at course setup in the future and say, do we really think the hardest test is to have the number one player in the world having an 8 iron in? Because you don't want to punish her for having length, but as you start stretching courses length, it starts making some of those shorter but straighter hitters, making their life even harder. But I think that's the task. I think everyone needs to decide how far can they hit it and how much control are they willing to give up in order to get some of that distance. That it's what happens on the PGA Tour. I just think the women's game is still growing in length, and the Nellies of the world have a massive leg up right now on the rest of the field. So again, Tiger's the wrong comp just because it was such a giant shift what he was doing versus everybody else, whereas Nelly does have some peers that are hitting at similar distances. I just think we were in a place right now where the Nellies of the world are going to clean up until they start looking at whether those courses are either set up differently with pin placements or stretched, and where the ladies' tees are.
And we've kind of talked about this. I'm kind of the belief that that's better for the LPGA if you did have somebody that was so dominant that was able to put up scores like that.
Yeah.
Eventually, that might be an issue where it just becomes such a foregone conclusion that somebody like Nelly is going to win so much. I don't think we're there just yet. I think it's still really cool to see an eagle on a scorecard. I mean, if you can get like a few eagles in a weekend, I think that's awesome. So
yeah.
If I were voting, I would say don't change it yet.
I mean, how nice would it be to have an eagle attempt that was based off of an 8 iron from the fairway? I think is more where I come from. Is right now there's probably a premium being put on off driver on the LPGA, and Nelly is not having to hit long irons. So like the art of hitting the long iron is lost on the LPGA right now. For the best players don't have to hit them very often, other than long par threes or super stretched par fours or even par fives. So I just like to see more of those clubs in their hands, but something's got to give there. Like Nelly's length advantage will always be there. So even if you stretch a hole 30, 40 yards and Nelly now has to hit 6 iron, yeah, that means everyone else has to hit 4 iron, and there's even less control of that club. So it does stretch in that regard. I would just there's something out of whack for me when someone is consistently hitting 7 iron and in for par fives. I think that's where my spidey senses maybe start to tingle a little bit.
I think to have somebody like Nelly doing this, and as you just alluded to, Nelly's going to be on the Pat McAfee show on Monday, May 4th, which is he's ESPN's far and away number one talking head. And
yeah,
I think for her to have that platform is the best thing that could happen for the LPGA. And then for them to be able to show her scorecard from this weekend, for them to show her putts from the Chevron where she's clinching a major, I think this is all great timing for her. So good for her. Let's get the publicity out there.
I want to put a finer point on that, Tom. I think we might be at the front end of the moment. It's really hard to recognize it when you're in it, like the Caitlin Clark-esque stuff. Nelly's already been here, but there's a different attention. In 2024, no one outside the LPGA stratosphere, or certainly the golf stratosphere, was talking about Nelly. It's changed a little bit. LeBron James is now into golf and follows her and tweets at and to her regularly. You mentioned the Pat McAfee thing. we might be on the front end of, if Nelly continues a little bit of a run of dominance here, again, the most marketable American player with American media behind her could really start having a moment that the sport desperately needs. So I think you're right. I think the dominance and her running, like just running through the entire tour this year, could be very, very, very well timed.
And this is a Solheim Cup year, so if she can,
Yes.
make some noise on the Solheim Cup team, that would help out. She's now, as we talked about last week, a couple points away from being a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that's another one. You're right.
Yeah. So I mean, this is all kind of, coming to a head, and I think this might be a really big breakthrough for the tournament.
Your bet's
tour.
looking real good right now of her achieving it this year. I did not have her winning a week later at Mayakoba in my models. That's for sure. I thought she was going to be kind of mailing it in this week, and
deservedly
so. So that leaves her, what, 4 points short, Tom, as of now?
I think that's right.
Wow. Well, huge congrats to Nelly winning this week. I mentioned it was a relatively weak field, just in terms, no Charlies, no Hyojus. A lot of the top 10 just were not there. A couple notables. Maria Jose Marin, who won the ANWA about a month ago, she showed out and it played really well. She finished solo fifth. Huge for her. Again, as an amateur still. She still has her amateur status. And then you mentioned Melanie Green. Melanie had a hole-in-one, I think, at day one or day two. Didn't even know she hit a hole-in-one. It was one of those blind shots, and sadly, there's not enough fans there to cheer for it when it happened, so she didn't know. She walked up with her wedge. She walked up with her putter, got up to the green, didn't see the ball, so she went to go grab a wedge because she figured she missed the green. But she ended up backing all of that up and had a really good week overall, finishing T9. So a top 10 for Melanie. Again, these players are just trying to get reps and trying to make cuts, and Melanie's getting top 10s. She's got a really good golf move. I watched a little bit of her this week. I think Melanie's here to stay. I don't think Melanie's going to be a flash in the pan. I think she will be competing for one of the top rookie spots of the year as we go through the year. I'm really curious to see how she plays majors. And then we kind of talked about this with your statement at the outset, our picks. I selected Minami Katsu, who was top 5 Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then just lit herself on fire on Sunday with a 78, 6 over 78, which sent her to T13, which puts her out of the points for me outside of our head-to-head victory, which was a foregone conclusion because you did in fact choose Rio Takeda. That's the first time I've brought it up since so let's see. You can start the counter. And last for this sentence. Yep. Preview. We're heading to New Jersey now for the Mizuho Americas Open, May 7th through 10th. This is, once again, hosted out at Mountain Ridge Country Club. This is the 4th year of the event. Hitters-only lineup of winners. Rose Zhang, Nelly Korda, Gino Titakun, most recently defending champ. That's a pretty nice lineup, so it's rewarding good play. TV windows this week, Thursday, Friday, are streaming in the morning. Again, it's the East Coast tournament, so Pacific time, 8 to 9 streaming on Golf Channel, and then 9 to 11 a.m., again, Thursday, Friday on Golf Channel. Saturday, main broadcast windows, 2 to 4:30 on Golf Channel, and then Sunday, main golf, again, final round, just a 2-hour window, 10 to noon. Don't love that. I haven't looked at the PGA calendar, but I have to imagine they're going head-to-head. So, again, 10 to noon on Sunday this week. Tom, it's your chance to redeem yourself here. We have our picks again this week. I get to pick first again. I was really excited to be able to pick this person this week. I was looking, as I always do, at who's performed well at this tournament, who's performing well in general. And I settled on someone that is just actually someone I'm a huge fan of. She finished 14th in this tournament last year, tied for 7th the year before that. She's top 5'd in her last 2 starts, including T2 at the Chevron. I'm going with my fellow UCLA Bruin, Patty Tavatanakit, to continue her string of good play. So excited to see her in good form. Would love to see her return to major championship form, which she does have a major under her belt. But I got Patty T this week in New Jersey. How about you?
This week, Mark, I think I am going to go with Mao Saigo. This is also a shout out to Rio Takeda, fellow countrywoman. My last time mentioning her. I don't know why I keep mentioning her now. But that will be my pick this week.
Okay.
And she is playing, I confirmed.
Well, Rio can tell Mao how big of a fan you are. So maybe that'll just make Mao feel really excited that she has someone who's willing to root for players that even aren't playing. Similar to the Masters on the men's side, the LPGA every year at the Chevron does a champions dinner for the previous year's champion. They get to set the menu, and you wanted us to kind of go through that activity. Walk us through what you want to do here.
So we do have this year-long bet where you and I pick teams, and one of the things I keep pushing for is for you and I to curate a menu and to have the other person cook it. And you are adamantly against this.
I am, because it's a punishment to you if you have to eat my cooking. Because what you can't make happen is make me a good cook. So that's a punishment to me to try to make your favorite meal for you.
I think it would be fun for me to create a menu and say, Mark, you have to figure out how to cook a beef Wellington. You have to figure out how to make whatever outlandish dessert I can come up with. That's part of the punishment.
Yeah, but you have to eat it.
Oh, I'm not worried about that. I mean, if it's awful, I'll just say, I'm good, and then I'll just leave. I'm just out of here.
And those listeners that know me, I don't think you really want me, if I'm grilling, you know what? We'll take this offline, but maybe based on these menus, we identify an item that, again, I don't want to agree to this because the way these standings are going right now, I don't think I really want to agree to this, but we will take this offline. I think there's something, at least from my menu. You could make everything on my menu because you're a great cook. We'll see what you got. So what do you walk us through what you want to do and who's going first?
Yeah, I'm going to go first because I came up with a menu that I want and I think will be like a nice, high-end, classy affair. But then I also created another one, just kind of like something I would probably be more likely to eat. Okay. So
again, this is your menu that all the players are going to eat alongside you. And this is, again, give me any criteria. Is this like representative of you? Is this just your favorite foods? How did you go about this?
These are my favorite foods when I'm going to like a nice high-end restaurant.
Okay, so you went nice and high-end. Okay.
Yeah, because I figured if I was going to have a, like this past LPGA Champions Dinner for the Chevron, they had Michelin star chef Thomas Keller creating the menu. Like, that would be great. So if I'm going to have somebody like that, I'm not going to ask him to create, spaghetti and meatballs for me.
Well, and you texted me saying, all right, are we doing an appetizer or this or that? And I said, no rules. I said, I don't want restrictions on the way I go about mine, and I don't want you either. So you take it away.
Okay. So to start, I need a warm loaf of sourdough bread. Give me some olive tapenade on the side. We absolutely have to start with that. That's the best part of any meal in my
All right, that might be the thing I make if I lose.
Okay. We start with an ahi tuna stack, mango, avocado, jalapenos, some crispy wontons. Salad option, blue cheese wedge. Soup option.
You've already lost me. Okay, keep going.
Soup option's a creamy tomato gnocchi soup. I've actually made this for you.
Sounds good.
And Mark, it was good. My main will be a Wagyu filet with a peppercorn brandy sauce, cooked medium rare. Only option.
Yep.
Side will be garlic mashed potatoes and roasted Brussels sprouts with balsamic glaze. And then finishing off with the dessert of a blueberry cheesecake. My mom makes a blueberry cheesecake that I absolutely love, so maybe I'll have her give Chef Keller the recipe.
Yeah. Have her come in and cook alongside TK for that for sure.
I'm also pairing it with some wine and spirits. I don't know if you went this far. So we're going to go with a 1985 Mouton Rothschild. That's the year I was born, so that's my favorite.
Perfect.
2012 Opus One and a 2012 Screaming Eagle, the year I was married, so special place in my heart. Finishing off with a 20-year Pappy Van Winkle on an ice sphere shaped like a golf ball.
Wow. I love the attention to detail here. I do think you're going to have some issues with everyone in the room assuming that the only way you can cook the steak is medium rare if you're trying to, everyone has some dietary restrictions, and assuming everyone in the room likes blue cheese. Just a couple red flags for you to consider if you're trying to appeal to the masses.
I didn't even give a fish option. So, yeah, if you don't like it medium rare, I'm sorry. Find it.
Okay.
Well, win your own championship.
All right. I love Mexican food. And there's not a close second place, unless when my wife and I went to Italy and we ate our way through that country. Like, there's nothing close, but I wasn't about to do a pizza for this. So there's a couple places that I'm going to shout out that some don't even exist anymore that had some of my favorite meals of all time that I want TK to dress up a little bit. My buddy Thomas Keller, obviously I call him TK. I love mole. Mole makes me so happy. And there is a wonderful restaurant in Los Angeles called Guelaguetza It's Oaxacan food, and they are famous for. So our starter is going to be a mole flight. They give you like 4 to 6 different kind of mole. Most of them are rojo, but there's a couple verde and negro ones as well, and they are so good. And they serve it with some tortillas or some roasted chicken, or just things you can dip in this mole. So we're going to start with mole flights for everybody.
I don't know if I've ever told you this, Mark. I've never had mole before. And anytime I go to a Mexican restaurant, I see mole on the menu, I think of you because I know this about you. And I always remind myself to say, hey, tell Mark that you want him to take you to a restaurant where he could try mole for the first time with him.
Man, this place is not super far from the U.S. Women's Open at Riv. We may want to try to go to Guelaguetza. And, okay, all of our fans know where to find us that night.
I'm in. I'm so down.
So we're starting with the mole flight. Mole is heavy, right? So we're going to need to break this up a little bit. So normally I would have gone straight to the main course, but I'm introducing a salad here just to cut it a little bit. Because again, it's a thick dish, especially the 3 different kinds. So I'm just going to go with a light arugula salad with like a cheese and lemon vinaigrette. Super, super simple. I love arugula. I love lemon, and any salad with cheese, you've got my attention. So we're going to kind of cleanse your palate a little bit, and give Chef Keller some time to get my main event coming out. So there used to be a restaurant in Encinitas, California, down in San Diego, called El Callejon. It went out of business. This was a place that my wife and I have had many pictures of margaritas together, and they had a main dish that I have searched for ever since they went out of business and have not replicated. We're going to go with grilled ribeye medallions on a split. So there's 3 of them, and they are spread on this plate, which down the middle is split with 2 different type of sauces. One side is like a chipotle crema, and the other side is like a cilantro avocado sauce. Split right down the middle. So again, 2 of them are placed in them, and one is placed literally down the seam of it. And it is outrageously good with a small side of like a cilantro lime rice. So once I started going Mexican food and Oaxacan food, I'm like, I'm going to have to stay in the same ballpark here. Otherwise, we're going to be jumping a lot. So I did. You're going to notice a pretty obvious theme throughout all of mine. We're going to go for dessert. We're going to go churros here. We're going to go some homemade churros with chocolate dipping sauce and just like a nice high-end vanilla ice cream. And I want these puppies hot. I want a scalding hot churro. We're going to pair this with my favorite all-time winery is Mi Sueño. They have an amazing Syrah that, again, would pair very well with this. You have to be careful with wine with this just because of the thick mole and the thick chipotle sauces. There's a lot of sauces there to pair with. You're going to need a big, bold taste to be able to cut through a lot of this. So that's what we're going to go there. I toyed with having margaritas there, but it felt a little... I think that might be something that maybe during the cocktail reception when the mole flight's going around, you could have that, but then we're going to go to wine after that.
What's your margarita of choice?
I'm big on ratios, so I'm a 2-1-1 guy. 2 shots tequila, 1 triple sec, and 1 just fresh has to be fresh lime juice. Don't waste my time with any mix or anything like that.
So we're going lime, not watermelon, mango.
No flavored, and then maybe a little bit like you could do a Grand Marnier floater if you wanted to. But then obviously on the rocks with salt. Never been a frozen margarita guy. So that's my menu.
That sounds great, Mark. I'm glad you actually did this exercise because
I was so nervous. I told you off air, I did not want to do this exercise. I'm not creative. I don't have an elevated palate. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have Thomas Keller make the things I make or that I like even better and more dressed up. I'll leave that to him, not come up with it myself.
Yeah, see, I guess that's true. You see that on like food cooking shows all the time.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, elevate mac and cheese.
And like I said to you, I didn't want to turn into Bubba Watson and have like the most ripped on menu of all time because I wanted chicken fingers and burgers. Like all those things are great. I did think about honorable mention, Tom. I know this is speaking to you. I did think about like Korean fried wings to start. Like I love me a wing and like something like that. That before I went the Oaxacan route, I was very much in the wings route.
Well, let's go to my realistic menu because we are, again, starting with warm sourdough loaf. Probably not in the olive tapenade. We're going to keep it simple. But the appetizer will absolutely be buffalo wings. It can be buffalo wings, a good, like you said, Korean fried wing. I mean, that's, nothing better than that. Salad, we're going to go Caesar, basic. Everyone likes it. Soup, we're going to skip soup and just go more sourdough. My main course, speaking to you, will be a California burrito, a San Diego staple. There's nothing better than a California burrito. Maybe throw some eggs in there. That might make it better, but, I'll take either one. Sides, we're going to go chips and salsa and onion rings.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And then we're going to end with a chocolate lava cake and vanilla ice cream. Again, it doesn't come off as very classy, but, I mean, it's the best. And then the drinks will be Voss water out of a glass bottle, and then an Arnold Palmer 75-25 iced tea.
Okay. Any booze?
If it's me, probably not. If it's my dinner, if it's not a fancy thing, yeah.
Something you just said, we're talking about champions dinners. I think a fun activity, and you might have just done it unintentionally. When I used to go backpacking up for like 4, 5, 6, 7 day trips, we would always talk about like, oh, what do you want to eat when you get off the trail? Because you're eating you're eating freeze dried food. It's sustenance. It's not necessarily high end. And you always kind of just have these delusions of like, oh man, if you just put a giant burger in front of me or whatever, it's a little bit more simple than what we're talking about for the elevated menus. I think what you're describing that would be a fun separate exercise is if I got to transport you to your favorite course and clubhouse setting, and I'm going to guarantee you perfect weather. What's you get to play your favorite round of golf at your favorite place, and where do you want to have your ideal post-round meal waiting for you at that signature clubhouse? That meal you just outlined sounds amazing to be waiting for you. Like you just played 4 or 5 hours with your buddies, and now you have Thomas Keller delivering you all of this stuff, and because like buffalo wings, I don't know if I want to eat that at like a champions dinner, right, from an elevated perspective, but it's absolutely what everyone knows they actually want to be eating. And if they didn't like the food, they're going to go after hours somewhere else and go get the good stuff. What you just outlined is that post-round meal that if that's what I should make all of my golf tournaments. I plan golf tournaments as part of my daytime job. I should just have my team create that's what we should become known for, is not the round of golf, but the post-game meal.
Definitely. So out of my 2 meals, which would you rather have?
The second one, absolutely.
Yeah, I figured.
No, I'd love the first one, but again, I don't like blue cheese, so I'm already out on some of that. So that's good stuff. I like that you did two versions. There's the playing pretend as if you're a high class member of society, and then there's the hey, this is what I know everybody wants to eat.
Mark, when I win the head-to-head, if you are willing to pay for all of the ingredients minus the 85 mouton, I will absolutely cook all this for you.
So you win, and your reward is that you get to cook for me? I'm in. It. So if I win, you have to cook mine. So you're cooking this meal regardless?
I'm fine with that. You're doing dishes.
This is a fun game for us. I don't think this should be the stakes because you're getting punished either way, whether you win or lose. But I do like the idea of having a formal champions dinner. You know what? I'll make your second meal.
Done. Absolutely.
I can do buffalo wings. I can do California burritos. I make them. I'll need to know your ingredients. Can you describe a California burrito? What's ideal on yours?
Yeah. So for those who don't know, California burrito is a San Diego staple, and it is usually carne asada, sour cream. I like guacamole in mine, some cheese, and then French fries. That's the thing that makes it the California. You have to add the French fries to it.
Anything specific about the French fry?
I like them crispy. I don't want like chunks of potatoes. Like I want something crispy.
Okay, so you want a little bit of crunch in that burrito from that
shoestring.
Fry.
Yeah.
Okay. Really? Okay. And you said you do want guac in yours.
Yes.
And then you're a salsa guy. So what are you putting on it, or a sauce?
I need a squirt bottle with hot sauce.
All right. I think I can replicate some of that. Well, now I'm looking forward to the fact that we get to try at least one of these meals at the end of the year. Hopefully it's mine, but I got a lot of work to do to catch up to you in the standings. But in the meantime, that's going to do it for this episode. It was a nice, quick, short episode. We've got a lot of interviews coming up, But in the meantime, if you have suggestions for players or topics to discuss on the pod or other meals you want Tom and I to break down, send us an email at fringecoverage@gmail.com. We've been really active on Instagram recently. Give us a follow there at FringeCoveragePod. And as always, whether you're approaching from the fairway or the rough, we've got you covered inside the Fringe.